Hello everyone. Welcome to today's biology session. We are diving deep into a fascinating topic, assimilation of food. After all that food gets digested and absorbed, what happens next? How does it actually become part of you, giving you energy and helping you grow? We'll explore this journey from the basics to the most advanced concepts, suitable for all levels of understanding. So, buckle up for an exciting exploration of how your body truly uses the food you eat. Let's start with the fundamentals. What exactly is assimilation, and why is it so vital for your body? Assimilation is the final, crucial step in our body's food journey. After digestion breaks down food into tiny molecules and absorption gets these molecules into our bloodstream, assimilation is when our body's cells actually take up and use these nutrients. Think of it like this: absorption is getting groceries into your house, and assimilation is cooking with them and eating the meal to gain energy. Our cells use these assimilated nutrients for three main purposes: to get energy, to grow, and to repair themselves. For instance, the glucose we absorb is primarily used for energy, while amino acids are the building blocks for making new proteins, essential for everything from muscles to enzymes. So, why is this process so incredibly important? Firstly, assimilation is how our body generates the energy needed for every single activity, from thinking and breathing to running and playing. Without it, our cells simply wouldn't have fuel. Secondly, it's the engine for growth and repair. As you grow, new cells are constantly being made, and old or damaged cells need to be replaced. Amino acids, assimilated from proteins, are key to this. Lastly, assimilation also allows our body to store excess nutrients, like converting extra glucose into glycogen in the liver and muscles, or storing fats, to be used later when food isn't readily available. This makes assimilation a continuous, essential process happening in every cell, all the time. Now that we've covered the basics, let's test your understanding with a few simple questions. Take a moment to think about these. First, how would you define assimilation in your own words? Second, what are two main reasons why assimilation is so important for your body? And third, which specific nutrient is the primary source of energy for your cells after assimilation? Pause the video if you need more time to formulate your answers. Ready to delve a bit deeper? At the medium level, we'll distinguish assimilation from absorption, understand nutrient transport, and explore the liver's vital role in this fascinating process. It's crucial to understand the distinct roles of absorption and assimilation. Absorption is essentially the gateway. It's the process where the digested food molecules, now small enough, cross the lining of the small intestine and enter either your bloodstream or your lymphatic system. Think of it as the nutrients getting into the body's transportation network. Assimilation, on the other hand, is what happens after that. It's when those transported nutrients are actually picked up and used by individual cells throughout your body to build new structures, repair old ones, or generate energy. So, absorption is about getting the fuel into the tank, while assimilation is about the engine actually burning that fuel. Once absorbed, nutrients embark on different journeys. Most water-soluble nutrients, like glucose and amino acids, enter the capillaries within the villi of the small intestine. From there, they're collected by the hepatic portal vein, which carries them directly to the liver for initial processing. The liver acts like a central processing unit, regulating blood sugar levels by converting excess glucose into glycogen for storage or releasing it when needed. It also detoxifies harmful substances and processes amino acids. Fats, however, take a slightly different route. After reassembling into tiny fat globules, they enter the lacteals, which are lymphatic vessels, and eventually join the bloodstream, bypassing the liver initially. Now, let's look at how our cells specifically utilize these key nutrients. Glucose, our body's preferred energy source, is taken up by cells and primarily used in cellular respiration within the mitochondria to produce ATP, which is our energy currency. Any excess glucose can be stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles, or even converted into fat. Amino acids are the building blocks for proteins. Cells use them on their ribosomes to synthesize new proteins like enzymes, hormones, and structural components. If there's an excess of amino acids, they can't be stored directly. Instead, the liver deaminates them, removing the nitrogen group, which is then converted into urea and excreted. Finally, fats, composed of fatty acids and glycerol, are used to build cell membranes, synthesize hormones, and are most importantly, stored in adipose tissue as a concentrated long-term energy reserve. Great job grasping these deeper concepts. Let's solidify your understanding with these 5 practice questions. First, can you clearly differentiate between the processes of absorption and assimilation? Second, describe the journey of absorbed glucose from the small intestine to a muscle cell. Third, what is the primary role of the liver in managing assimilated carbohydrates? Fourth, explain how amino acids are utilized by your body's cells. And finally, name 2 specific places in the body where excess glucose can be stored. Take your time to think through each answer. Ready for a more analytical challenge? In this hard level, we'll dissect detailed metabolic pathways and explore the intricate hormonal controls governing assimilation. Let's dive deeper into glucose assimilation. Once glucose enters a cell, it's immediately phosphorylated, trapping it inside. Its primary fate is cellular respiration, a complex process occurring in both the cytoplasm and mitochondria, involving glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain, all designed to efficiently produce ATP, our cellular energy. However, if blood glucose levels are high, the body has mechanisms for storage. Insulin, a key hormone, stimulates glycogenesis, converting glucose into glycogen for storage in the liver and muscles. If glycogen stores are saturated, excess glucose can even be converted into fatty acids and glycerol, which are then assembled into triglycerides and stored as fat in adipose tissue, a process known as lipogenesis. This highlights the body's sophisticated energy management system. Amino acid assimilation is equally intricate. Cells constantly synthesize new proteins using assimilated amino acids on their ribosomes, while simultaneously breaking down old proteins. This dynamic balance is called protein turnover, crucial for maintaining cellular function. Unlike glucose or fats, the body cannot effectively store excess amino acids. Instead, in the liver, they undergo deamination, where their amino group is removed. This process generates ammonia, a toxic compound, which the liver quickly converts into less toxic urea for excretion by the kidneys. The remaining carbon skeleton from the amino acid can then be oxidized for energy, or converted into glucose or fats, demonstrating the metabolic flexibility of the body. Fats, composed of fatty acids and glycerol, play vital roles beyond just energy storage. They're assimilated by cells to synthesize essential components like phospholipids for cell membranes and various steroid hormones. However, their most prominent role is as an energy reserve, stored as triglycerides primarily in adipose tissue. When the body needs energy, these stored fats are broken down. Fatty acids undergo a process called beta oxidation in the mitochondria, generating acetyl-CoA, which then enters the Krebs cycle for ATP production. Glycerol can also be converted into an intermediate of glycolysis, further contributing to energy generation. This efficient system ensures a steady energy supply, especially during prolonged periods without food intake, showcasing the body's remarkable adaptive capabilities. You're doing great! Let's challenge your analytical skills with these 7 hard-level questions. First, explain the full fate of glucose inside a body cell, distinguishing between immediate energy use and long-term storage. Second, Describe the process of deamination and its importance in amino acid metabolism. Third, how do insulin and glucagon precisely regulate glucose assimilation and utilization? Fourth, discuss the specific role of adipose tissue in fat assimilation. Fifth, trace the complete journey of a fatty acid from adipose tissue to its energy production in a muscle cell. Sixth, explain why excess carbohydrates contribute to body fat. And finally, what is protein turnover and why is it essential? Good luck! Welcome to the hardest level, where we'll explore assimilation with competitive depth. We'll examine the cellular machinery, intricate enzyme systems, complex regulatory feedback loops, and the vital clinical implications, even drawing an engineering analogy. Assimilation is not a single event, but a symphony of coordinated actions involving specific cellular machinery. Mitochondria, often called the cell's powerhouses, are where the bulk of ATP is generated from assimilated glucose and fatty acids through cellular respiration. Ribosomes, either free or attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, are the sites where amino acids are strung together to form proteins. The air then folds and modifies these proteins, which are further processed and sorted by the Golgi apparatus. The cytosol, the jelly-like substance filling the cell, hosts glycolysis and maintains a dynamic pool of amino acids. Each organelle plays a distinct, yet interconnected, role in ensuring that assimilated nutrients are efficiently converted and utilized for the cell's specific needs. The precision of assimilation is largely due to highly specific enzyme systems acting as catalysts for every metabolic step. For example, in glycolysis, enzymes like hexokinase and the rate-limiting phosphofructokinase control glucose breakdown. The Krebs cycle relies on enzymes such as citrate synthase, while ATP synthase is crucial for oxidative phosphorylation in the electron transport chain. For protein synthesis, aminoacyltranase synthetases ensure the correct amino acid is attached to its tRNA, and peptidyl transferase forms the peptide bonds. The activity of these enzymes is meticulously regulated through various mechanisms, including allosteric control, phosphorylation, and changes in gene expression, ensuring that metabolic pathways are finely tuned to meet the cell's fluctuating energy and building material demands. The regulation of assimilation is a masterpiece of biological control, involving a complex neurohormonal network and intricate feedback loops. The insulin-glucagon axis is central, maintaining glucose homeostasis. Insulin, secreted when blood glucose is high, promotes anabolic processes like glucose uptake, glycogen synthesis, and fat storage. Conversely, glucagon, released when glucose is low, stimulates catabolic processes such as glycogen breakdown and glucose release. Beyond these, adrenaline rapidly mobilizes energy during stress, while cortisol promotes gluconeogenesis during prolonged fasting. Thyroid hormones regulate the overall metabolic rate, and even hormones like leptin and ghrelin play roles in long-term energy balance and appetite, indirectly influencing nutrient storage and utilization. This multi-layered regulation ensures the body adapts efficiently to varying nutrient availability and physiological demands. The ultimate goal of much of assimilation is ATP production, a universal energy currency. ATP hydrolysis releases energy for all cellular work, from muscle contraction to active transport. This ATP is synthesized through substrate-level phosphorylation and, more significantly, oxidative phosphorylation, where energy from nutrient breakdown is captured. Key to this energy transfer are redox reactions involving electron carriers like NAD+ and Fad. They pick up electrons during nutrient oxidation and deliver them to the electron transport chain, driving ATP synthesis. When assimilation goes wrong, the consequences can be severe. Diabetes mellitus, for instance, involves impaired glucose assimilation, leading to high blood sugar. Malnutrition, liver diseases, and genetic metabolic disorders like PKU also highlight the critical importance of proper assimilation for health and survival. The body truly operates as a sophisticated biorefinery, transforming raw food into usable energy and building blocks. Alright, brilliant minds, prepare for the ultimate test with these challenging questions. First, elaborate on the specific roles of mitochondria and ribosomes in the assimilation of glucose and amino acids, respectively, detailing their enzymatic activities. Second, explain how phosphofructokinase activity is regulated and why it's a crucial control point. Third, beyond insulin and glucagon, discuss two other hormones involved in nutrient assimilation regulation. Fourth, describe the significance of NAD+ and FAD in coupling nutrient oxidation to ATP synthesis. And finally, compare the physiological basis of type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus regarding glucose assimilation. Take your time to formulate comprehensive answers. Continuing with our toughest questions. Sixth, how does the body effectively manage the assimilation of fats, given their insolubility, from absorption to storage and energy production? Seventh, discuss the concept of an amino acid metabolic pool and why excess amino acids cannot be stored like glucose or fats. Eighth, using the biorefinery analogy, explain the liver's role as a central control and processing plant. Ninth, what are the potential consequences of a genetic disorder affecting a key enzyme in the urea cycle on amino acid assimilation? And 10th, analyze the energy yield difference between complete oxidation of glucose and a fatty acid of similar carbon length, explaining the biochemical reasons. These questions require deep thought and synthesis of knowledge. Fantastic work today! You've navigated the complex world of food assimilation from basic concepts to advanced metabolic pathways. We hope this journey has deepened your understanding of how your body truly utilizes every bite you eat. For more such engaging and in-depth educational content, make sure to visit our website, synapse.omaps.in. There, you'll find a wealth of resources across various subjects and classes. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest educational videos. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep growing your knowledge with us. Thank you for joining, and see you next time.